Hello, hello. Thank you so very much for tuning into Career Conversations. I'm really excited about today's guest, and I'm so grateful that you're taking time out of your day to be a part of today's episode. Today's guest is Miss Maisha Hagan. She is the owner of Beauty and the Boss LLC, where they help women navigate male dominated industries. You know, the fun part where you're the only girl in the room, she'll help you get through it, your reviews and everything. So, everybody, welcome Miss Maisha Hagan to the show.
Hey,
Hey,
hey, it's good to see you.
good to see you too. So, thank you so much for being a part of this series and sharing your expertise. I think that is especially important for my audience. A lot of my audience are women in male dominated industries, and so I think that what you bring is something super special and super right on time, especially as we get to the close to the end of the year. People start wanting to talk about annual reviews. What does my career path look like going forward? We have that whole period of New Year's and reflection. So I want to start with this. What does your family think you do when you tell them that you are the head coach at Beauty and the Boss?
Um, so my family basically thinks I'm a recruiter.
Do
They
they?
basically think I just help people find jobs, which is not at all what I do. Like I very rarely am like, here's a job that I think would be perfect for you, right? And that's basically what they think I do. Um my mom just is like my daughter owns her own business. That's all she knows. Like just owning a business is my job to her. um
Well, that's a good thing. She sounds very proud of you.
she is, but she could not tell you in detail probably what I actually do.
So for all of us people who are like, well, what is a career coach? What does it mean to be a part of Beauty and the Boss? What do you actually do?
Yeah, so this is how I explain it to my 75-year-old great uncle. I
Oh,
said, think about the game of Monopoly, right? If right now I handed out boxes of Monopoly, everybody gets the same pieces and they get the same rules, right?
hmm.
But everybody has their own strategy. Some
Hmm.
people buy all the expensive properties. Some people just buy railroads. Some people only buy one suite. Some people buy everything, right? I help people figure out their strategy, and I help them figure it out in the context of house rules, right? Because at your house, how we play Monopoly might be different from how we play at my house.
Oh, look, the rules are always different at everybody's house. Like, that's how boards get flipped over if you don't follow the rules.
That's how we're here for 4 hours fighting, right? So, in the context of work, what I help women do is figure out their landscape, right? What are the house rules at your place of business? Which sometimes they're written, sometimes they're not, right? What are the
Mhm.
power structures? Who has influence? And then what's your strategy? What is it that you're working with? Um, both opportunities, both advantages and disadvantages, and how do we just play the best hand, that you're dealt. And so that many times relates to either creating new positions, getting promotions. Sometimes it is a hard conversation about maybe you've outgrown this role or this just is not going to get better, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just a listening ear when people are in really, really toxic environments, which are actually few and far between. But they're I have had clients that are basically being abused, right? And they need
Wow.
to move very, very cautiously to avoid being terminated, being tormented, right? A lot of things. So
Yeah.
that's more of kind of what happens in my space. Occasionally, I may see a job and say, "Hey, have you considered this?" But it's not recruitment in that at this point, I don't work for companies, right? Right. At this
Mhm.
point, I work for people. I
That's
work for
awesome.
the individual. Yeah. And I love it. I love it.
So, what made you make the decision to focus on working for people instead of companies?
Um, I think it was that I saw that people needed advocates, employees needed advocates, right? As companies have lots of resources, they can go to conferences, they can, bring in expensive trainers. Um, they have access to systems and software that can help them do whatever they do well. But honestly, the way that people in the middle of their career, right? So I'm not talking about people who just got out of college, and I'm not talking about people who are in the C-suite or retiring, but the largest swath of our employee force, they need a lot of support. And I just don't see that necessarily that was happening, right?
That's a great point.
Especially people who are coming into managing roles, right? Manager roles, just really needing somebody to be like, let me tell you how to get your life together. Um,
Hmm.
and in a way that isn't do it this way, but in a way that says what makes sense for how you need to do it. So
Hmm.
that's how I got here.
Well, that's really exciting. Like that you said, look, I see a gap. I see where my skills really match this and how I can support people. What is your favorite part about being a coach?
Hmm, what is my favorite part about being a coach? I think very early on when I'm meeting with people or talking with people, I can see the end. I can
Hmm.
I can kind of see, I don't see like what it's going to be, but I can see like, oh, there is another way. And I
Mm.
think my favorite part is when the person I'm working with, when something clicks for them and they also see, oh, there is another way. That to me is my favorite moment. My favorite part is just the coaching, right? It's just being in a space with a person and listening and doing the push and pull of kind of what does this person kind of need to do next to feel like they have some they have some say in their career.
I think that's a good way to put it. Have some say in your career. I think a lot of times we go through like this idea of like this is the ladder I have to climb, or these are the steps to make me successful, and we never really step back to go like, what does success look like in terms of designing my own life, not just my career.
Yep. Yep.
So
A
I think
great
that's
example of that is one of my girlfriends. She just started at a new company. She's been there for about a month, and her manager, her direct manager, is has resigned and has
wow.
suggested that they put her in his position, right? That she would be a great fit. And I said, do you want it? And she was like, I just feel like I should take it. But what they don't know is that she's got a side hustle, right?
Yeah.
She is trying to start another kind of initiative. She has other things that her time and heart is built into. And so it's like, well, do you take this job because it was offered to you, knowing that it's going to take away from you being able to focus on these other things, right?
Right. Focus on the dreams.
And just as having that conversation, she was able to say, thank you so much. No, thank you. And feel good about it instead of saying yes and feeling bad about it.
Well, that's good. I think that we sometimes forget like how important it is to make yes, yes, and no, like no. Like saying yes to the wrong thing is not going to help you say yes to what you really want.
At all. At all.
Man. Okay, so we've talked about what you actually do and how you really help people create a say yes plan, it sounds like.
Oh, I
Uh,
like that. Let me write that down. Okay.
So
Create.
that's something Tiffany Alicia says all the time when she talks about budgeting. She's like, I need you to help, because people think about budgets and they think about, oh, I gotta like, take all this stuff out of my budget. I can't keep my Spotify or all the little things. She's like, no, I want to help you create a say yes plan.
Is
And I,
she
and I,
the budgetnista?
yes, the budget needs to. I love it. And so that's where I get that from. She's just like, I need you to create a say yes plan. I think that that's important to have one of those for your career as well as your money. Like,
I like it.
so you help people do that, and then really they take the steps themselves. It sounds like this is not a situation where you're like, okay, I need you to do this today and then this tomorrow. It's really kind of helping people unfold for themselves with those steps. Like that's exciting.
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
So I won't do the lifting for them, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to do the actions for you,
Yeah.
but I am going to help identify the actions that you should do. Right?
No, that makes sense. It's like really helping you like find a place of accountability and develop the map.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the thing that empowers people the most is not actually more information. We have information overload. You can find an abundance of information on the internet, right? What empowers people is action. And so once they start acting and seeing that even if they're afraid when they do it, they can survive it, right? And overcome that fear. Um, or sometimes that they can either confirm or invalidate the thought that they had,
Mhm.
and they can stretch themselves into something that is not their first thing, right? Like instead of kind of folding back into comfort, they can stretch into something else. That's what I'm really trying to establish with people, is that you can try. You can do it and not die. And I didn't mean to rhyme there, but you know what I mean? You can
You can do it and not die.
you can
No,
do it. Yeah, you can do it.
yeah,
I'm
no, that's one of
scared.
my
Let's
favorite
do
questions
it.
when things get tough. I'm like, but did you die? I'm like, no, keep going. But did you die?
And the
No.
excitement that people have when they come back and they're like, "Oh my gosh, had that conversation and you'll never believe what they said," or "Oh my gosh, I made the phone call and this is the information they shared with me." It opens up their mind to like, see, you can do it. And that's ultimately what I'm trying to reinforce in people, so that when our coaching relationship is over, you still have that muscle and you still know how to get in there for yourself. Um,
So this is truly coaching in the way of like building career muscles, like the same way you might go to the gym.
yes.
Okay, I like this.
Yes. I don't want people codependent on me. I got other stuff to do.
She said, look, don't be calling me every 5 months.
I I have other stuff to do. You know what I mean? I want to reinforce you
Yeah.
so that you know you can do it yourself.
That's awesome. I love it. Like, so you're not like, oh, I'm gonna wave a magic wand and everything is gonna be fine. You're like, I'm gonna get here in the gym with you. I'm gonna tell you you need to do 2 more reps because that's what's gonna get you where you want to go, and it's up to you to do that action rather than lay out on the floor and huff.
And when you say I think I pulled a muscle, I'm gonna massage that muscle for you
Oh,
instead of
that's
sitting home.
okay.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
massage it. I'm gonna get it. Okay, I'm sorry. We stretched a little too much. Let me rub it out.
But then let's keep going.
Let's keep going. Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what skills do you feel like people really need to have in order to be an effective coach?
I think you need an incredible amount of empathy. I think you need patience. I think you do need a strategic mind. And I think all of these are important because certainly without empathy, you will always suggest what you would do to other people. Well, if I were you, I would, right? And
Hmm.
it's not about me. It's not about how I would do it, because how I play Monopoly is different from how you play Monopoly,
Of
right?
course.
So empathy helps me to say, this is how you play, and I want to be supportive to you and not make you do it like me. Patience, because you don't you can't make somebody get something on a timeline.
That's true.
When they get there when they get there, and the patience to respect that, right? And to respect that people have their own process of how they're getting working through these. It's an incredible amount of work, because on top of what we're doing, they're going to work every
Yes.
day. They're working, and then when we talk, right, they're having to talk about very personal and vulnerable things, and then they have to go right back into that environment every day, and that takes an incredible amount of energy. So I think just the patience to know, like, I just always kind of operate from the place that people are doing the best they can do. um and what I tell people is, I'm gonna push you, but I'm never gonna shove you.
That makes sense. So it's
Mhm.
like, look, I'm gonna nudge you along, but I'm not gonna take you and tell you, look, we're going over the cliff. Like,
Mm,
not
mm.
happening.
You'll hurt people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll hurt people, and I'm aware of that. I'm aware, like, people are putting an incredible amount of trust and confidence in me, right? Even in the things that they share, and I don't want to hurt them. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that is more important than methodology. You can read a book about methodology, right? And those change
Hmm.
every couple years just because people got to make money. Um, you
True.
know what I mean? Being a brand, being an influencer, what does that have to do with your ability to care for people? It really comes down to, can you be in this space with people and be here for them and not for you?
Wow. be there for other people. And I don't think people really realize, like you said, what kind of empathy it takes to do that, to really say, okay, this is where this person is right now. Like, and literally just come sit with them in that moment and just be there.
Yep.
Man.
To just simply say, like Brene Brown said, I'm really sorry that that happened to you. And that's it.
Yeah. I love Brene Brown. I love you brought her up. She's one of my favorite writers. Like Dare to Lead, Power of Vulnerability, some of the best reading because it takes you to a place of, like you said, being empathetic and like also being much more compassionate toward yourself.
Yeah.
And that's something I know I've had to do a lot of work on.
I say to my clients a lot, be kind to yourself. Be nice
Yes.
to yourself. Because that's another thing I think within this space of coaching women is women, we are hard on ourselves. Like we are hard on ourselves. And so just having someone to remind you, like, would you talk to your friend like that? Then why are you talking to yourself like that?
Yes.
You wouldn't even say that to your coach. You wouldn't say that to the bus driver. Why would you say that to yourself?
Yeah.
And people being shook by like, oh dang, I am being really rough on myself. Like, yeah, take it easy. Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Let me see. So if you get a client that approaches you and they don't seem like they're the right fit, how do you navigate that conversation?
Mm. Um, that's a good question. So early on, when I first started, I didn't know how to say no to anyone. So I would say yes to anyone, any situation. If they were like my job, I'd be like, yes, right?
Mhm.
So I've learned how to um, not do that because I got myself in trouble a couple times. And I ended up working with people who were their situation was very real. Their
Mhm.
their desire to change it was very real, but we were not a good fit to work together. And
Yeah.
so I think that's the filter that I'm looking at, right? I put a couple things are in place to see, do people have a commitment to themselves to follow through on these small things? So doing a coaching assessment, right? Which is sometimes it's free if they just reach out to me, but if they go through the portal, it's $50, right? Are they willing to make a financial commitment? How do they show up in that discovery call, right? I'm also
Yeah.
listening to the challenge and the opportunity. I am thinking about, do I have the skills and the knowledge to be able to help? Um, and if I don't, then honestly, I'll just tell them, I appreciate you sharing time with me. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm the best fit. Um, Here are some things that I hear, right? And as you're looking for someone else to help you, maybe keep this in mind, that here's some things that make someone a good coach. I rarely have to do that though. I think most times when it's not a good fit and I sense that the other person doesn't follow through and people just will kind of ghost me. You know what I mean?
She's like,
Because
look,
yeah, they'll ghost me. Like I am running a business. And so, there is a follow up and a hey, how are you? And what did you think? Right. And so if someone just ghosts me, then I take that as, oh, they don't think it's either right fit or right time. And I'm just
right.
okay with that. Mhm.
That's helpful feedback, even though we all hate being ghosted. It just kind of spares you a little bit of chaos.
It's a lot of chaos. Yeah. A lot. A lot. Yeah.
A lot. So, growing up, what did you want to be?
I think I always wanted to be a businesswoman. I do. And I'll tell you, well, I did want to be a teacher.
Okay.
But as a child, I specifically remember, like, I'm a woman of a certain age, of an excellent decade, where they still had paper applications, right? And I would collect all the little paper applications, and then in the living room, I would set up the ironing board, and I would have stacks of forms, and I'd have containers of pens, and I would literally like fill out the forms and stamp them and put them in stacks. So
Wow.
so I think that I've always had this penchant or mind of like, I want to be a businesswoman. I didn't have that terminology because I
Yeah.
didn't know any business women, but that's what I wanted to do.
But you like collected applications and like filled them out and stamped them and organized. That's so
For
cool.
everything, from banks, from grocery stores, from credit union, credit cards. If stuff came in the mail, I would keep the forms. Yeah.
Wow. And your mom wasn't like, why is she asking for this application
My
knowing she
mother
can't work here?
was upstairs sleeping. She's quiet and she's not tearing up anything. For real.
She was like, look, that's what you need to be at peace here. Here's another application that came in the mail today.
I had markers, you know what I mean? I would sign off with markers. Yeah, it was the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah. It's funny because I see how other kids like play things, and I was like, I was legitimately playing Office.
Wow. I used to play a few things growing up. I have to ask my siblings because I've had friends tell me, like, they were like, I could never imagine you as a kid. I feel like you came here grown with a cell phone and a briefcase. That's what one of my college girlfriends told me. So I get it. But so I've had to like call my sister and be like, what did I play growing up? She's like, you used to play like, church and like teacher and all that. I was like, okay.
One time I was playing church. I was a little older, but one time I was playing church and really got happy and got the Holy Ghost and was like, Jesus, what happened? I was playing, but God was like, but you're not.
But you're not. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you've kind of really always had this penchant for being a businesswoman. Like, so what role models or people like really helped you really discover who you wanted to become? Like, how did that unfold for you?
That's a big question.
I know.
That's a big question. I think, certainly if you're asking about role models of specifically of business women,
Mm-hmm.
the only person who kind of comes to my mind who fit in that space is my aunt Youll, who is
Oh,
not my aunt biologically, but you know how we just be like,
well,
that's
we
my
got
cousin.
aunties and uncles and
That's
cousins.
right. It's culture. And she used to work at UC Berkeley in California, and she worked in their procurement office for furniture. And in the summer, one summer I went there, and she was like, "You're gonna come work for me." And so I went, and I had to like dress to go to work. She would pick me up on time. I remember she had to teach me how to answer the phone because people would call, and I would be like, "Hello," and she's like, "That's not how you answer the phone." So she taught me how to say like, University of Berkeley procurement, how may I help you? Right. And
Yeah.
I think I was maybe 11 or 12.
Oh, so you got started early.
It's a memory that I have. But as far as like in the larger context of like work ethic and working with people, like my grandmother literally ran a bakery and a store in Oakland, California. So she worked for a bakery called Toscana, and Toscana had stores all over the Bay Area, and they closed all their stores and they kept one store open. It was my grandmother's store. And literally on their official paperwork, it said Ruthie's store. And so I didn't understand it, but my grandmother, they kept that store open because she ran it so well.
Oh, wow.
She ran it so well. And so her store was the last store. And when she retired, they closed it down. My mom has always worked with the public, and so just seeing how that engagement was. So it was more just people who had great work ethic, you know what I mean, and people who had a sense of duty and responsibility to their work and doing it well, and not so much like, oh, I had people who were also business owners. There are not very many entrepreneurs in my family at all.
Oh, wow. So this is a really unique journey. What was like the hardest part of taking the leap? Not really having
Losing my salary.
No hesitation. She was like,
okay, for everyone out there who's like, I think it's a dream, you're going to lose your salary. You're going to go to your bank account and be F5ing and ain't nothing going to update. So everybody just pause.
Everybody just pause. You are going to lose your salary.
You're going to lose your salary.
That on time direct deposit consistently of X amount is no more.
No more. I said, whoo, okay. That's what
So
I
how did
feel.
you adjust? Like, what was that process like?
So it was a me starting my business was in conjunction with some other things that had happened. One of them is that I got really, really sick and was off work for 3, almost 4 months. And as I was really focusing on getting better and trying and finally getting my finger on like what in the world is going on, I just shifted. I shifted as a person, and the gear that I had to do the work that I used to do, I literally just didn't have that gear anymore. It
Yeah.
would have been it would have been um it would have been wrong for me to go back to my job because they would have been paying me the same amount of money, and I guarantee you I would have been doing less work and less quality of work because I just literally couldn't do it. And so I started to think about what can I do? And this kind of work, I had been doing it kind of not on the side, but I had been, I had tiptoed in a little
Yeah,
bit.
project here, project there.
I had spoke a couple different conferences, I coached a couple people. So I had tried it out already. It wasn't like I was guinea pigging people,
Mhm.
when I started my business. And so that's what for me made it a very natural transition into the work that I'm doing. I think very practically speaking, what made it easier for me to do this is that my husband has a very good job with very good benefits, and we had gone through a pretty significant couple years of paying down debt, learning how to budget, and so when we looked at it on paper, it was like, well, yeah, it can be done, right? It changes our lifestyle and it changes the frequency of just what we do and how we do, financially, not willy nilly, but I stopped being able to just go to Target and drop $100 and not think twice about it. It was more like I'm going to Target for two things, and
Look,
I'm walking out of Target with those two things, right?
you deserve
So
a trophy for that because nobody walks into Target and gets the two things they're supposed to get. It's like, oh, this candle is really cute and I could use an orchid, but I really just came for toothpaste.
don't look at it and just drink the water. Don't do nothing. Don't even and it really was those practical things that was like, okay, let's give it a go. And so we also kind of committed to my husband bought in to the idea. He was very supportive. And we just said, let's look at it on a year by year basis, right? Let's just give it a year and see what happens. And then it was, okay, let's give it another year. And so this is year 3. January will be year 4. And I'm excited about what has happened. I'm geeked about what's gonna happen. Like I
Yeah,
know next year is about to be crazy, and I'm very excited about it.
that's good. Look, she's like, I'm gonna need a couple of coaches next year.
For real. Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be great. I'm excited for you. You got to keep me posted on the progress. Like I'm rooting for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we've talked about your process and how you figure out like who's a good coaching client for you and who isn't a good fit, and learning to say no, balancing the budget so you don't go just break the bank at Target, and that whole mental transition of like, oh no, I don't have a salary anymore.
Yeah,
She said, you're going to lose your
you're
salary.
going to lose your salary. And I think also one of the things that helped is coming from the previous industry that I was in, I saw business development as a process, right? I saw what that looked like. And I
Yes.
saw how you have to create a pipeline and fill that pipeline and stay connected with people, right? And how do you cultivate relationships that may or may not cultivate business, right? And
Yeah.
balancing that well. And so I definitely think having that foundation also helped because I didn't have an expectation that year 1 I was going to make 20, 40, 50, $60,000. I knew year 1, like I was just like, year 1 is kind of me filling a pipeline, right? Because now
Yeah.
people need to know what are you doing? Where are you at? Well, how do you? And so some realistic expectations as well helped to make that transition easier so that I wasn't disappointed when we just didn't, nothing came quickly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense to be able to manage the expectations so that you're not like, oh, this is falling apart. It's like, nope, this is a process, and people don't really think about that. But then you read like the statistics of like, most businesses fell in the first 5 years. It's like, well, what does success look like? And you had a very clear picture about, okay, this is what year one success is, and this
Yep.
is year 4 and 5. Like, and those are two very different things.
Yep. Because I will tell you, just because you build it does not mean they will come. All these
Yeah.
cliches, all of these cliches, baby. When you get out here in these streets for real, you're gonna find out that's not how those are Instagram posts. That's not real life.
And I think that's one of the things that is really scary. A lot of people get sucked into Instagram and Facebook and they're like, I made $100,000 my second year of business. And it's like, what do you do? What product or
What are
service?
you doing? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Even I remember when I think it was last year when the government was sending out stimulus checks. And there were a lot of posts that were like, take that $500, open an LLC, flip that 500, make 1,500, take that 1,500, buy more product. And I was like, and it was when you got into the comments, real business owners was like, no, baby, no, 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 no,
yeah.
right? If you have that $500 and you need it, go pay your rent. Go put food in your take, right? Save that for an emergency because
Right. Like when the car breaks down in like 90 days and you don't have it to begin with, that way you're not shelling out your money on high interest debt.
exactly. Exactly. Or you have spent it on a brand package and you don't sell anything.
Mm-hmm.
You've got an incredible website with photos and video. What do you do? What do you sell? What
That
has
is
what concept have you proven and validated?
bingo. And that's something that I talk to people about when they say, I have an idea. I'm like, so have you sold anything? Has anyone said they're interested in what you're offering? Otherwise, it's a really expensive hobby.
That's what my mother-in-law says.
It's an expensive hobby. I mean, but I feel like it's also a reality a lot of people have to come through to sometimes on their own. It's when I've had to experience myself and going, yeah, that's not what that is. Like, and that's where you said, like, for you, it seems like it's really apparent you have like this deep passion for what you do, and that's what keeps you going. So, when the going gets tough, what are some things you do to keep yourself in the saddle?
Ooh. Um, Sometimes when it just gets really tough, you know, little Nemo, right? Just keep swimming.
I like it.
Seriously, just keep swimming. I think for me, I'm very good at taking something big that has to be done and breaking it down into small pieces. And so sometimes what I'll do is say, okay, what can I do that's within my control, right? What can I do that's within my control? So if it's an issue of dang, I don't have anybody in my pipeline, right? My pipeline is empty. I haven't had enough time or just haven't put the time and energy into cultivating new relationships. Well, then what that means is I need to cultivate new relationships, right? So I can go to the internet. I can go to an event, right? I can reach out to people I do have and said, "Will you be willing to introduce me to one person in your network?" And that's something that I can do. If it's an issue of maybe something that's not my strength, right? It's like I'm not really good at accounting, but I need to balance these books and get ready for taxes. Then it's either blocking out time so that I can do it in a way that doesn't make me feel anxious and stressed out, or it just means I literally go hire somebody. Hey, person who's really good at this, and this is their job and their business. Let me support your business by paying you to come do the thing that I don't want to do and I'm not good at. And it's just going to stress me out.
That is wisdom. Like sometimes you save yourself so much money taking your thing that you're not good at and saying, here's somebody that can probably do this in like a quarter of the time I would spend. And then
Yes.
you can go back and spend energy in your zone of genius, generating more income and preparing your business for the next level.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Um And sometimes, quite honestly, I'm just procrastinating.
Aren't we all? Oh my
It is.
God, aren't we
It's not
all?
that it's hard. It's not that I can't do it. It's that I just don't want to. And I don't have nobody telling me that I have to. Right? There's no
No one's gonna come be like, Maisha, so that report was due 48 hours ago.
I was like, it wasn't, not now. Now it's due in 48 hours, right? So, so sometimes it's literally about like just making myself be disciplined. Like just do it.
Oh, look, I feel like if there was a way to just do it like Nike, we would all probably be billionaires. Oh, so, my gosh. What advice would you give someone looking for a career coach? What are some key questions they should ask?
Hmm. Long pause, huh?
Those are welcomed. That's when the good stuff comes out.
Yeah. I think what someone should be, I think first of all, if they are looking for a career coach and that person offers like an intro call or discovery call or something, they should take advantage of that. Even if it has an investment, because what comes next is a larger financial investment, but a way larger time and energy investment. And I
Mhm.
think being in that space, they should get a really good feel of what this person's coaching style and methodology is, right? I think
Yeah.
they can ask, what is your methodology? For me, I don't have a formal one, right? I got a lot of tricks in my box and in my pocket. And I tell people I'm organized but organic. So we're
Mhm.
gonna ebb and flow the way you ebb and flow. That doesn't work for everybody, right? Some people want to have a documented, this is the process that we follow, right? And so I think that's really important. I think they can flat out ask the person too, what do you hear like as I'm talking about all this, what do you hear as the real challenge, right? What are you hearing as the problem? Can that coach communicate, here's what I'm hearing you say,
Mhm.
right? Here's where I think you're going. Or are they hearing something completely different? Are they listening at all?
Now
Um,
that's a really good point. Are they listening at all? Because sometimes people just productize whatever they're offering and they're not really passionate about it, and so you get the product version.
yep. Which sounds like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I see this all the time. And usually when I work with people, I just have them do A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like when someone has productized their coaching services. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I deal with that all the time. Right. Which says to me, you're going to treat me like you treat everybody. And I'm my own person.
And that is the difference in making sure you find the right coach, somebody that can see you.
You. Yep. You.
That is the truth. So if people want to get in touch with you, how can they reach you? What's the best way to get in touch with Maisha?
Yes. The best way is on LinkedIn. Uh,
Okay.
if they're not on LinkedIn, they can always go to my website, which is bosslady.coach, not .com, bosslady.coach. And they can sign up for my newsletter, which comes out monthly-ish.
Okay.
Okay. Grace, monthly-ish. Um, but in each issue, if I can call them that, I really offer usable career advice, right? And usable strategy tips or insights or things that I'm learning. So it's not just like, hey, I'm talking here, I'm speaking here, look at me, look at my dog, look at my cat. It's really useful for the audience.
Look at my dog. Do you
Girl,
have any pets?
I do.
Do you?
I have a little stray cat who is totally feral, and so she has a bad attitude. But she's sweet, but she has a bad attitude.
Oh my gosh.
And then I have a blue nose pit bull.
Oh, cool. My sister has a pit bull too.
Mhm.
That's funny. The feral cat with a bad
Has a
attitude.
bad attitude. She
Oh
does.
my gosh.
She bites.
The
It's
cat
all
bites.
yeah, she bites. When I brush my teeth, she lays right behind me so that if I move, I'm basically gonna trip over her. and she nibbles at my feet until I feed her. And then she has a very bad habit of walking right on your feet, so that she's literally trying to trip you and kill you. I feel it feels personal to me.
This is very gracious that she still has a home.
It is.
Oh my God.
I love her now. What am I doing with her? I love her now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so sweet. Okay, so now we know how to get a hold of Maisha
Yeah.
and her really really sweet but crazy cat.
Her name is Crazy Cat. That's what her name is. Cece.
No, really, it's her name, Crazy Cat.
Her literally, that's why we named her Cece. It's short for Crazy Cat.
And I thought I was wild. I was like, I told my husband if we ever get a cat, I want to name the cat Euphrates. He was like, "What?" And
Why?
I was like,
Euphrates.
because that just sounds like a really random cat name for fun.
It sounds
I was like, we got to keep all the names in this house weird. So that's a lot of the motivation, but this is like a 6-year running joke of like, if we get a cat, we got to name it this. And so far he said
I'm
no.
adopt y'all a cat and have it delivered to your house.
Oh my God, I believe you would send me a cat though. Oh my God.
You bad?
Cat be on Instagram and bonnets, it'll just go down.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so if you want to get a hold to Maisha, if you check out the website, you decide, hey, I need to be in touch with her sooner than later. This is where you can email her. admin@bosslady.coach.
Yes.
That's right. .coach, people, not .com. Get it. You're looking for the coach. This is where you need to be. So write it down. Don't miss it.
I love it.
Okay, so is there anything I have not asked that you want to talk about or share more about?
I will just do a quick plug that if people go to my website and look at the tab, there's obviously the tab for coaching, but if you're like, ooh, I don't know that I'm ready for all that, always check out the resources tab, because that page I keep updating regularly with just different tools, different resources. This where I put links to podcasts I'm on, or videos that I make, because those usually have some content value. Right now, there's a couple cool things on there. There's a guide that you can download that really helps you to prepare for your end of year review, right? So it's to help you prep for performance reviews. So I would definitely encourage you to pick that up, and that's free. There's also a guide for new hires. Many times when you get a new job, the company will have like an onboarding process. They may or may not, but this is a really good tool to help you keep track of like, what am I learning? What are the questions I have? Who are the people I'm meeting? Because the first 90 days at a job is like
a blind date, like long form.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. And I think if knowing how to make the best use of that time is really important. So that's a guide that's there. I also have a new thing, which I'm super excited about. I have created something I call the Pocket Coach. And so it's a deck of cards, and each card has a question or quote on it that you can use to practice introducing yourself, talking about your strengths, asking questions, negotiating. And so it technically will go on sale in November, but I'm supposed to be picking them up this Friday. And so if you're interested, you can actually pre-order those now. They're online for sale at $25.99, and that includes shipping and tax.
Oh, sweet. So then that's a really good price for a great tool. Yeah. And so, like you said, if you're not ready for coaching, or you need just kind of a boost and to keep a Maisha in your back pocket. Literally.
In your purse.
That could even be like a fun like night with your girls, trying to like unwind like on a Friday and like pick a focus and just chit chat with each other.
I'm gonna ask you to find something else to do on Friday.
Look.
Don't be practicing networking on Friday. Go get you a date.
Well, I mean, I did go out this weekend, but my wedding anniversary is tomorrow, so we just decided to celebrate for like the next 4 days. Like,
oh, happy anniversary!
Thank you.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I guess, and your husband too. To you both.
I guess. I'm gonna tell him you said that. Yeah,
Ugh,
Oh my God. No, he'll crack up. He's got the best sense of humor.
good, good.
So we have talked about your journey. We have talked about how to get a hold of you, how to even get the pocket version by buying cards, which I think would probably be super helpful. And I promise I will find different things to do on my Friday nights. I usually just like hop in the tub or something.
I like it.
I'm a little bit of an old lady. I won't pretend like I got most exciting plans.
Listen, after these weeks that we have and the ongoing stress of living toward in the end of this pandemic, treat yourself well, rest, recover.
Yeah.
Because I feel like just living is taking so much energy these days that needing to be more intentional about like resting and regrouping and restoring. Otherwise, it'll just all bleed into each other, especially if you work from home. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because there's no like break in your routine. It can just feel like this is just Saturday is Tuesday, you know? So, nope, you take that bath and relax. Good for you.
All
Yeah.
right, Maisha, thank you so much for being a part of today's episode of Career Conversations. Look forward to the update on how 2022 unfolds. I think it's going to be amazing for you.
Thank you.
And everybody, I don't take your time for granted. Thank you so much for being a part of today's episode. If there is something that you've enjoyed that resonated with you, make sure that you like, share, and comment, and let your friends know it exists. If you want more information on what's happening with Career Conversations, visit uniquawalcott.com. That's where all the updates come. And that's also where you can reach me if you've got some questions. Talk to y'all soon. Love y'all.